have a special guest, Christine Williams, with us, who is a best-selling author. She's a business coach, but we connected on this beautiful platform. And I don't know if you know this, but I think your content has started popping up, which is what I love about this. And there's just been so many things I've seen that just feel so much, I'm like, oh, yes, I co-sign this. I agree with this. Like, this feels so
Yeah.
refreshing. I wish more people knew about this. I wish more people were talking about this. And I think we actually connected kind of in one of those conversations. And
Yeah.
so we wanted to
Yeah.
have a bigger conversation about
Yeah.
booking
Yeah.
clients.
Likewise too. I'm like, wait a minute. I really I totally resonate with this woman. I'm like, we've got to connect. Like, I'm like, yes. More conversations around this.
Yeah. So hopefully today for all of you, we want to bring you a conversation around booking clients in a way that doesn't have you do complicated funnels or, I mean, I'm all here for a funnel, but we want to keep it simple, where you don't have to be posting 3-second reels unless you want to, or paying lots of ads unless you want to. And I hope, and I think for both of us, that you walk away with just having some both faith in the industry that you can book clients right now, and just some refreshing takeaways that are applicable and that you can put into action and that are simple. Before we dive in though, because I think my people probably don't know you, do you want to just give a quick intro on who you are?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Christine Williams. I am the founder of the Boutique CEO Business School. And so I really help women who are either just starting out to get their businesses going, or they want to scale into that really sweet kind of middle tier spot, which is, a business that makes 100K to 500K, that's high profit, lean team, if any, and just giving you, the time freedom. But it's also really about heart-centered and conscious entrepreneurship as well. So we get to build businesses that not only support our lives, we also get to do this in a way that's in alignment with our values and our integrity, and ways that actually bring us joy.
Which I think where we have so much overlap and alignment, because I think everybody watching, we got into this. I mean, I'll speak for myself, and it sounds like you and your people.
Yeah.
I think for many of us, it's first and foremost the work. I remember starting this business thinking, if I could just make $60,000 a year, getting what I love and helping people, that would be winning the lottery. And then you grow and you scale and things change. But I think finding that way of how do we keep that service driven heart aspect of it, while also being smart business women and kind of not getting lost in the sauce online.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Getting lost in the sauce. I love that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. I think we all, well, at least the women, I think that you and I also have in our audience, are heart-centered women, right? They are here to do work. Most coaches, get in, whether they're health coaches, life coaches, business coaches, career coaches, spiritual coaches, like we get into this work because we feel passionate about it. And we actually want to help people, we want to help them navigate, their health or their lives and make the world a better place. So, I think unfortunately, and I know that you have seen this over the years as well, there's just a lot of tactics that don't serve us very well.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad to have that. Yeah, they don't. They absolutely don't.
I think, I want to ask you a couple of very specific questions, but I think one of the things I really appreciate about what you're saying, because I think if you are heart-centered and service-driven, I think there are sales tactics and they will work for certain people, but considering the types of people we tend to serve and considering the types of nervous systems and the way we are all wired as heart-centered service providers, many of those tactics, actually, I think it's almost like we're allergic to them, but I think people sense that on the other side. And so I just find they don't even, while they might work for a very different personality type of business, I find they just don't even work for us. And I think that's just maybe that can just like give everybody a sigh of relief. And the other thought coming up for me as you were speaking, I think our space in particular, because we are working with the people who are caretakers, essentially. I think the messaging is either you help people or you get to make money, not that it gets to be both. And I think that's what I would love people to walk away today, kind of having that dispelled. Like it really gets to be both.
Amen, sister. Absolutely. It's so funny because I was actually this morning interviewed on a podcast, and we talked about that. We're like, but how would the world change if more heart-centered, conscious entrepreneurs actually had more money, and allowed themselves to receive the money? I mean, like imagine if again, we want to have the funds so that we can have the choice, so that we can contribute in the ways that we want to contribute. So it really doesn't have to be an either or. It doesn't have to be you do good work or you get paid. It actually gets to be both.
It really gets to be both. And I want to be mindful because I will take us down a whole rabbit hole
Oh,
on that
girl, I'll follow
conversation.
you too.
And we will not talk about booking clients right now because I'm like, I get so fired up about that. And hello also
Absolutely.
to everybody who's here. I'm so happy to have you all here. And if you have questions, reflections, drop them for us. But I want to talk booking clients because I think
Yeah.
with what we're speaking about, I think then there are a lot of tactics. And I think there's just a lot of noise in the space right now
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
people aren't buying, which I just think is inherently false. And I know
Yep.
you have a very particular method, the
Hmm.
it's the inner buyer list, right?
Inner buyers list.
Inner
Yeah.
buyers list that I think is particularly interesting and might be refreshing for people to hear. So I'll turn it over to
Yeah.
you if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that, and then we can kind of unpack
Sure.
it a bit.
Yeah, yeah. So, as I began to build and grow my business as a holistic entrepreneur, and, I have been in the business for well over 30 years. I started as a yoga teacher back in 1993. Have multiple certifications from massage therapy to health coaching, life coaching, master transformational coaching, business coaching. I think we are, yeah, especially entrepreneurs, we're like, oh, what else could I learn? Like, this would be so much fun, right? We're like, oh, yeah, this is amazing. And so over the years, I developed a system called the Soulful Abundance System. And that was actually what we ended up finally turning into a book last August. Let me grab it. I think I've got it here. Yeah, I know it's good. So the Soulful Abundance
Amazing.
System is actually the system that I ended up creating over the years to build and grow a business, because I wasn't learning the heart-centered ways that I really wanted to build and grow my business. And so I decided that I was just going to put what it is that I was teaching and how I was supporting my clients into something so we could get more of that out there. And part of it is actually being able to build what we like to call as an inner buyers list. And really what that looks like is, when you are serving and when you've got people that are coming into your ecosystem, regardless of whether they're spending $7 or $10,000, you've got people that are in your world that are there, that are learning from you, that want to be there because we know that they've already invested some, money in it. And I think what people don't understand is that even if someone spends $7 with you, they're 400 times more likely to continue to work with you, even in a high ticket offer. And a lot of times people are kind of stuck in this new client acquisition energy, right? We see that all the time. How to get your next client, next client, next client, next client, get the new clients, get the new leads. And what we're missing is actually, but who are you currently serving right now? And do you have a place for them to continue to stay into your ecosystem? Right? Because we don't want to just work with one person and then have them hire somebody else for something different if we can continue to serve them in a different way. And so that's what I really, take a look at as, who is in my world already? And it's not how do I get more money? It's how could I help the people that are in our buyers list get results quicker? Like, is there something, maybe it's, inviting them into an intensive, or maybe it's, having something that's going to help them, collapse the timeline, whether it's a power hour with me or a VIP day or something like this. And what I find is that, many business owners are actually leaving about 30% of income that they could be making on the table because they're in new client acquisition mode instead of actually taking a look at who else could they serve and help them get even better results.
I agree with that completely. I think it's such a refreshing and helpful conversation. I think our
Yeah.
space, I think particularly, maybe not Substack as much, but I'm also on Instagram. And because of
Hmm.
the whole viral aspect, I think there can be and because of what we see with visible metrics and the literal
Hmm.
dopamine hit we get with that,
Yep.
I think
Yep.
there's and just the messaging with more clients, such a
Yeah.
messaging that we always need to be chasing
Yep.
new. And I
Yep.
think we are not aware of the expense of
Yes.
acquiring a new client. And not like that sounds so not heart centered, but we have to think about this as business owners as well. It
Yeah.
costs time, resources, and money to
Absolutely.
build a relationship and to acquire a new client, as
Yep.
opposed to what you're saying in terms of those percentages, whether it's $7 or a $10,000 package and somebody's
Hmm.
renewing.
Hmm.
It costs far less to keep a happy client happy and to continue to serve them. And
Exactly.
and just to add on to what you're saying, and I'm sure, I don't know if this is something you think about, but I only do one-on-one work with clients long
Hmm.
term. And what
Yeah.
I think about a lot is what they show in the therapy world, that the
Hmm.
biggest indicator for client results and success, which us heart-centered people care about, is the client practitioner relationship out that
Yep.
is above modality, that's above
Yep.
experience. So if you're continuing to work with your inner buyers less and serve
Mhm.
them more and deeper, you're also basically guaranteeing somebody gets a better result. And
Yes.
it's such, I think, a win-win
Mhm.
benefit. Is that what you notice or see as
Absolutely.
well?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely 1000%. And and even if you're working, privately one-on-one, you can certainly, invite them into maybe a VIP experience, right? For a weekend,
Yeah,
or, something else
yeah,
that is going to continue to serve them. But what we don't want, and I like to think of, when I talk about an ecosystem or an offer suite, I like to think of it more of circular,
love.
where someone can come here, go here, come back here. Like they don't have to leave the world that I'm in order to continue to grow and in order to continue to expand. And so, yeah, we want to keep more of our clients, because the truth is that no matter where we are, if we're not serving them, they're going to find it from someplace else.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
want to make sure that, yeah, absolutely, we're serving them like so incredibly, and we've got that connection, we've got that relationship with them. And also, is there something else that maybe they're needing that we can offer or that we don't have, or ways that we can continue to serve them so that you are working with people for multiple years, not just for a 90-day package or just for, again, just depending on, what type of offers you're offering as a one and done type of experience.
And just to validate what you're saying, I think even as a one-on-one, I have
Hmm.
basically one offer, but different variations. I
Yeah.
have clients I've worked with for 5 years. That
Yeah.
is that is the secret to my success, but it's also the secret to their results.
Yeah.
They've scaled to $1 million, but we didn't do that in 2 weeks. We've done that,
Yes.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
over time. So it's a little bit of both there. And then to what
Yeah.
you're saying, I have intensives, I have VIP days. So there's ways for people to cycle into more work or to cycle
Hmm.
backwards if they want to kind of
Yep.
de-accelerate the
Yep.
support. And so
Yes.
even with one-on-one offers, but then
Hmm.
suddenly for all of us, you're looking at needing, even if you have a group program or a mastermind, you're
Yeah.
needing 10 to 20 to 30 to 60 clients per year, as opposed to the thousands we think we need to churn through with
Exactly.
some of these complicated funnels. And the
Yes.
math on that starts getting, when you're talking about a boutique business and
Yeah.
profitability, starts getting real good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it is expensive in terms of time and energy and money to be, in client acquisition,
It's the
regardless of, what you're doing. Like we just know that it costs more money to get a client than it does to keep a client.
yeah,
So why not keep more of our clients, right? Renew them or give them other opportunities, or, your best clients are also your best referrals too. And
absolutely.
that's such a wonderful way to also continue to bring money into your business without having to be in this, crazy chasing mode and needing, something to go viral, or, I just don't believe that. I believe that when we've got some, you know, I would much rather have, 12 warm people in my world than have to worry about creating 2,000 leads in the next
Oh my
30
gosh.
days.
Oh my,
Like,
oh my
I'm
gosh.
just a no for that.
Um, I help clients do, a lot of my clients have different business models, so I help them do that. And so it's nice for me
Yeah.
because I see the behind the scenes. Like I'm happy to
Yeah.
help somebody if that's what they want. But it is for anybody who's like, oh, but passive income, all of that. There is nothing passive about it. Like it is,
Hmm.
and different people have different trade-offs that they like.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I really think for a lot of us who are wired differently, this is such a
Yeah.
refreshing way to think. I
Yeah.
have a question coming up because I know I'm just thinking through like
Hmm.
what I think some people will wonder about. Because I think
Yeah.
we can get on board with this. And it's like, this sounds great. And I have a feeling some people's question is like, great, but how do I create this
Yeah.
list? Because
Yeah.
like, how do I get somebody into that first step? Or like, I still need to
Hmm.
figure out how to get those 12 people. And I'm
Yeah.
curious
Yeah.
about, obviously we've only got a short conversation, but what comes
Yeah.
up for you in terms of
Yeah,
your
yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
there?
Oh, such a good question. Yeah, and I hear this question every single day, multiple times a day with with people that I'm doing business audits with, or connecting with, and it really depends on where you are in your business, right? So if you are just starting, then you're going to take a look at who already has an experience of know, like, and trust with you, right? Because what we know today is, look, posting and getting a client is not the way that things work. People are going to work with you because they like you and they trust you. And so just, and I know it worked back in 2018, but we're not in
It is
2018
not
anymore, people.
2018. It's
Like,
not even
it's not
220, y'all.
2018 anymore. People are like,
Things have
they're
changed.
watching for a while. They want to know you. They want to hear you. What do you look like? What do you sound like? Do I even resonate with this person? Right? They're definitely more discerning. So if you're just starting out, what we typically take a look at is, okay, well, who's in your warm market, right? And I'm actually going to be teaching this next week on how to get a client in the next week
Great. So
in our
everybody make sure.
free masterclass. But so we would start there. So if you are brand spanking new, then that's where we would start. If you already have a business, then we're going to take a look at 5 main places. We're going to take a look at who is a past client that you might want to reactivate, right? Because they worked with you for a period of time already. It's a lot easier to reach out to them and say, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Is there anything that you need today? Is there anything I can do to serve you? I always believe in leading with generosity first and, helping them create a win. So we've got reactivations. We've got referrals then, who do you know that, might be a good fit, or who you might want to bring into our community. We've got, upsells, which you typically call an upsell, which is somebody is in a component of a program and maybe they want to go deeper into something. So they're already working with you in some way, shape, or form. And yet you can still invite them to take a deeper dive. Like maybe they join you for, a one-off session, and then you're going to make sure that you're following up those people to invite them, to continue to work with you. And then we take a look at, the people who maybe you already have had conversations with who didn't say yes yet. But they already know you, right? They already had an experience with you. They've connected with you. It just wasn't the right time. So these are the places that we want to look first. And, we start with our warmest first, and then we work our way, backwards to the people who are just coming into our ecosystem. But I want to be really, really clear. The people that are just coming into your ecosystem are probably not going to be your buyers today. It's going to take, a period of time so that they have an experience with you. So that means that we do need to have a system in place where we are nurturing and when we are connecting and we're able to, give people value so that they come in and then they move through being a stranger to a viewer, from a viewer to someone who's being engaged, who's actually having a real conversation with you, and ultimately, inviting them into a conversation, or asking them just to explore, are they interested in exploring what support would look like? So it can be a really heart-centered way to kind of support people, but it does really depend on where you are in your business. And if you are having conversations with people, then I would say go back. Are you following up? Men, oh my gosh, if you are just following up, you are going to be 90%.
It is wild. What isn't it like? Most sales happen between the 5th and 12th follow-up or touch point, something like that.
Yeah,
And most people, I think, don't follow up, and it's like only 80% follow-up.
Yes.
Like follow-ups.
Yes.
It is so cliche, the fortunes in the follow-up, but it is wild.
Oh my gosh.
What a difference follow-ups make. And it is wild how much resistance and mind trash we have around that. And I think I really appreciate what you just laid out, because that is very clear. It is very strategic. I think sometimes we think things like referrals or follows, these are, because it's not a complicated strategy, it's not a strategy. This is all the most strategic aspect of business. This is, if you look at any business, even if there's a complicated funnel, if you break it down, this is what they're doing. It is it's strategic relationship building, right? Leverage strategic relationship building, but they're all actions we can all take. But what I also appreciate is it's very, very simple. And yet I think there's both a nuance, like specificity, and probably mindset trash that comes up around these, which is why I think sometimes we chase the cold leads more than the warm. I think it feels easier to go chase a bunch of new people than have to go reach out to somebody we already know. Does that feel true? Does that come up for your people?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. I'm like, okay. And that's why I actually incorporate, and I'm sure you do too, mindset work. Because, if you've got people that are in your ecosystem already and you're not following up with them, why? It's not difficult, right? I mean, like, we're not like having to,
it's a 5-minute task.
Right. I mean, it can be simple. It can be heart-centered. It doesn't have to be salesy or swarmy or, any of that. It can really be so simple and so easy. And, it always blows my mind every time I start leaning back into that. And I'm like, you know what, who have I not connected with yet? To just reach out and connect, just to connect, to say, how are you? And then that conversation turns into an opportunity for me to say, happy to, if you want to hop on a quick call, happy to, discover whether this is a good fit for you. Or even circling back around with people who I have had calls with and it wasn't the right time. And then I'm like, hey, how are you? I know last time we talked, this is where you were. Is this still a priority for you? Are you still working on this? And they're like, yes, I'm so ready now. And so if
Yes.
I never did that, then first of all, they wouldn't have gotten the support,
Yep.
right? Which
Yep.
is
Which is
the,
kind
the
of
biggest
robbing
thing that I'm
them.
here for.
Mhm.
We're just kind of abandoning them on
Mhm.
Pain Island. And
Mhm.
we are making up a story about how, well, I don't want them to think like I'm just after their money. So I'm not going to really, follow up with them. Well, how about if we take it off of us and what we're making it
Mhm.
mean about us and make it
Mhm.
about, well, how are we actually helping somebody get the support and the resources that they need to actually get what it is that they want?
I don't know if this is helpful to hear, but the thought that's coming up for me when you're sharing this is I remember when I started my business. So this was when I started coaching. I've been in business for 10 years. I started coaching maybe 12 years ago. I took a year-long coach training. And afterwards, the woman offered like a mastermind type thing. And she was
Yeah.
great. And it was really scary to me because
Yeah.
I've got past bullying stuff. It had nothing to do with the money. I was invited in and I told her I couldn't afford it. And she
Hmm.
never followed up with me. She never like, and I'm
Hmm.
sure it was from this place of like, she's already paid. And like, I'm sure it was coming from a very heart-centered, kind place. Now, the reality was I had $50,000 sitting in savings. I could
Hmm.
absolutely afford it. I just needed somebody to say, you're safe, you're okay, you're wanted here.
Yes.
And because I didn't get that, I spent a year thinking, she doesn't think I'm good enough. She thinks I would fail in this. She doesn't actually want me in this program. She did just want me for my money, which is not true.
Hmm.
That's my projection. That is a bunch of mindset trash. But to this day, I always think about, man, when we don't follow up and we don't have these conversations, not only do we get robbed of the opportunity of supporting somebody who probably wants it, but what is the story that we're co-signing
Yeah. Yeah.
unintentionally, right? From again, like this, that was my shit.
Yeah.
But unintentionally, what are we co-signing with our
Yes.
stuff when we don't
Yes.
lean in to support someone or follow up?
Yeah. 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 And you said you gave us a really great statistic earlier that I want to kind of double click on here, and
Hmm.
that is, you know, most people will have four no's before they're a yes, right? And so it's not like we are trying to manipulate or trying
No,
to like
no.
make them just follow up ad nauseum, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
we do need to realize that people will whether and look, the no doesn't necessarily have to be like an actual like conversation that we're having and I'm saying no. It could be, I've read the email, no, I'm not really sure yet. Reading another email, maybe. Following along, having a conversation, not sure yet, right? Like those no's can happen in multiple ways. But if we don't ever follow up with people and connect with people and give them the opportunity to make their own decision,
Yep,
which is
yep, that
really
part.
the important part,
Hmm.
then we're not serving them. What we're doing is we're making it about us instead of making it about
Yes,
them. And
yes,
that's the mind trash that we get stuck in.
yep,
What are they going to think about me? What if
yep.
they say they can't afford it? What if they say they don't have time? What if I have to try and overcome an objection? Blah, 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 blah. Instead, we just need to like stop and say, but if it wasn't about me, what if I can make it about them? What if this was an opportunity for them to actually get what it is that they wanted? What if this is exactly what they need today? And it just means me just like showing them the door and saying, hey, if this is what you want, here's an opportunity for you. And if not, no problem. Like
Yep.
it doesn't have to be this, I gotta close the deal either and I gotta get the yes. It can be simply very, very heart-centered, very, very supportive, so that
I love
regardless,
that.
they're creating a win.
Yeah, all of this, I'm like, yes, yes, there's two thoughts that are coming up for me. I think one, to what you're saying, I think it's just so empowering to remember most of this is not about us, even if
Yeah.
they're buying from us. This is even somebody's no or yes, it is about them, where they're at.
Yep.
Of course, our offers and things, matter, but like assuming
Sure.
those are clear and
Hmm.
it's something somebody's interested in, right? This has so much to do about the other person. And when we
Hmm.
can, if we're really heart-centered and service-driven people, right? If we can remember that and flip that focus, it changes everything.
Mhm.
And the other thought that you're bringing up for me, and I'm curious your take on this, but the way I think about sales so much too, from just that service-driven place, is it's not
Mhm.
about getting a yes, it's about getting to a decision and empowering, like you
Yes.
said earlier, the
Yep.
person to come
Yep.
to that. So a no is also a very empowered decision. If I
Absolutely.
can support someone to a no, and it's an actual no, not a
Yep.
I'm in resistance, I'm in fear, I actually want
Exactly.
this thing, but an
Yep.
empowered no, that is what a beautiful gift for everybody involved. To me, that's a success.
Exactly. I count that as a win.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because I really feel that my job when I'm having a conversation with somebody, and by the way, when someone comes on a conversation with me, it's not disguised as like a free coaching call and then I'm trying to sell my thing. Like they're there because they want to explore what
Yep.
it would
Yep.
look like,
Yep.
where they might fit,
Yep.
they're there for a reason. So
Mhm.
that actually also takes the pressure. Like I'm not trying to manipulate or drag
Right.
anybody
It's
across
not a
the
bait and
finish line.
switch or
It's not,
confusing.
and
Yep.
they're there because they want to be there and because they want more information,
Mhm.
right? So amazing. I want them to walk away feeling completely aligned with whatever decision it is.
Yes.
Because if they're spinning, they're not doing anything, right? If they're sitting on the fence, they're not going right, they're not going left, they're just stuck. And so I feel like that conversation is an opportunity to help somebody create clarity, regardless of whether they're working with me or not. And even if it's a no, I'm like, awesome. I hear that this is not the best fit for you. What is it that you do want? Let me help you get that. So maybe it means I refer them to a colleague. Maybe it
Yes.
means that I just give them, something, a resource that's going to support them. But I know that they're going to walk away with a win regardless. And so, that takes the fear, it takes the pressure off
And
of any of these conversations.
I think it helps us to be more lean back and detached.
Yep.
I think it helps us to actually work with clients who are the right fit, which means
Yep.
the retention piece you were speaking
Yep.
to,
Yep.
right? If
Yep.
we're not trying to force yeses, then we actually have
Mm-hmm.
good fit clients and we do better work and they
Mm-hmm.
get better results and they
Mm-hmm.
stay. And I think
Mm-hmm.
something you're touching on here in terms of the referral aspect, when we help someone in this way and it's like, oh, this isn't the right fit, let me refer you to somebody else.
Yeah.
And they've had a great experience with us. I have absolutely done that. And then that person goes on to refer someone to me because
Yeah.
I wasn't what they need, like, whatever they need
Mm-hmm.
in their business, I send them to the right person. They're like, that was refreshing. But this
Yeah.
other person I know is,
Yeah.
and so I think we forget how when we're approaching things in this way, I think that
Mm-hmm.
just goes to your inner buyers list. Like
Yeah.
even a no can be a part of your inner buyers list, is what I'm
Absolutely.
basically hearing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, it might just mean that they, again, we all have different processing time. And I think we forget that, right? I think that, unfortunately, the methods that we've been sold are if we don't get the yes right on that initial conversation, then we failed some way, or, we haven't said the right thing, or we haven't, you know, uh, overcome all the objections, which I hate that word anyways. I don't even
Same.
believe in objections.
I believe in
I really don't.
resistance and fear.
That's a whole nother
Yes.
session.
Oh my gosh. We could just do a master class on this, I feel
I know,
like.
right? Right. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm not interested and by the way, I'm not interested in overcoming anybody's
No,
objections
same,
at all
same,
because,
same.
if I have to drag you across the finish line in order to be a yes,
No, bless,
like
bless. We
that,
should not work
we're going to have
together.
some issues going
Yeah.
down the road. That means I'm going to, yeah. But, oh my gosh. And I totally forgot where I was going now. I
Oh,
like totally went
I
down the
know, no,
rabbit
I did.
hole on
I
objections.
was there with you because I get very fired up. I'm like, I will navigate resistance with you and support you through
Yes.
fears. But
Yeah.
but yes, I just don't want to overcome anything to get
Yeah.
somebody to work with me. That just feel even get somebody to work with me feels like this
Yes.
should be
Ooh.
it's partnership, right? It's like dating, it's like a
Yep.
relationship. You both mutually want to be there. Some fear
Yeah.
is normal, but
Yes,
I
totally.
I'm married. I don't want to overcome my husband's objection to be with like that just sounds like the worst thing in the entire world. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where we were starting. But I think we were
Yeah.
talking about the not everybody is going to be a yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
timeline is kind of
Yeah.
differently in terms of
Yeah.
your inner
Exactly.
buyers
Yeah.
list.
We all have different thank you. Thank you for bringing
Oh,
me
it
back.
took me a
I'm
second.
going I just went down and down.
I
Yeah.
was with
So
you.
we do have processing times, right? Some people and are ready right now. They've seen you. They've been in your world
Yep,
for a
yep,
while. They
yep,
are ready, right? That makes up about 3% of
yep.
the people that are in our world right now. And then there's about 67% or so, and these are general percentages that are looking for a solution. And they want to do something about it. They just haven't found the right fit yet. And those people actually just have a different processing time, right? Some of us just need to be in somebody's world for a while.
Yep.
I know I actually joined somebody's offer recently, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how many times I had a touch point before I actually said yes. I just kind of got
Mhm.
nerdy about that, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
it took 7 different touch points for me
Yeah, yeah,
before I was actually, yeah, I think this might be a good fit for me. I think this might be something that I want to invest in, and that came in the, I had a processing,
yep,
it happened over probably about 30 days. And so we have to realize that, the no doesn't mean no. The no might mean
yes,
I need more processing time.
yep,
The no might mean I'm scared, right?
yep,
Could be the
yep,
resistance.
yep,
The no could be not now, but
yep,
later,
yep.
right? And so that's really why, I think follow-ups are so key as well, is just checking in with somebody, even if there's still a no. This it's caring, right? Even if they're
It's
like, I'm so good right now, you're like, great, I'm so glad. I mean, that's my response. I'm like, I'm so glad you have the support that you need. Like, I'm so
absolutely.
glad. I'm here for you if you need anything. Just wanted to check in, say hello, hear how you're doing, hear where you are. And if they're good, amazing. But when I check in with them, they feel cared about, they feel seen, they feel heard, they don't feel pressured. And when they are ready, they're going to remember that, and they're going to remember how that made them feel versus trying to manipulate or make them feel that they're got a mindset issue, and that's, that will magically go away once they give me their credit card or
Yes,
something in a
yes,
day.
yeah, no,
Like,
no, 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 no. I have 800 questions I want to ask you, but what's coming up right now that I think will be helpful for people. Have you ever sent a message like that to somebody, like follow up or no, or reached back out to a past client and been met with somebody saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so gross. I hated hearing from you."
never, never. Yeah,
I
never.
think that's
I've
just
always gotten, thank you so much for thinking of me, or thanks so much for reaching out. I'm doing great right now, or something. But I've never, ever gotten anybody that says, why are you contacting me? Don't contact me again.
I think that's the thing that probably so many people watching need to hear. The thing I like to think about sometimes is how would I feel if my favorite mentor, my favorite coach, my favorite person I worked with in the past
Mm-hmm.
reached out to me and
Mm-hmm.
said, "I was thinking of you. I have this
Yes.
offer, and I specifically thought you would be great for it, and I missed you, and I loved working with you,
Yes.
and I wanted to personally reach out, and you're invited. How would that make me feel?" And I always think, like, that would make me feel so
Mm-hmm.
special. Even if I'm a no, that would just make me feel
Mm-hmm.
so good. And
Yep.
I think we are so convinced we would be annoying and pushy and
Yeah.
manipulative. But if
Yeah.
we just think about who that is, everybody, like who is that person for you? I
Mhm.
think for most of us, be like, wow, I would just
Yeah.
be absolutely flattered to be on that
Yes.
short person list.
Yes. I'm so glad that you said that, because that makes a difference for me personally as to whether I'm even going to stay in their world or not. One of my,
Mhm.
business coaches that I worked with probably 5 years ago, I just got a beautiful handwritten note from her in the mail. And I was like, this is one of the OGs. Like, she's been in the industry for over
Yeah,
25 years. She's
yeah,
made over $30 million in her
yeah.
business. And yet she took time to actually write me a handwritten
Just
card. I
goosebumps.
was
Yeah.
like, that is the type of coach that I want. That's
Yep.
the that,
Yep.
that's also what I want to be, right? I
Yep.
want to know that somebody cares. And so the follow-up doesn't have to be, are you going to buy my thing? It can be so simple and so caring. But I guarantee you that if I need, more support at some time, I'm going to go to the people where I felt cared for.
And all of us,
Yeah.
every and all of us have had the experience, I think, if you've been in business for a hot second, hopefully nobody has had this experience, but we've
Yeah.
all had the experience of what it feels like to be cared for, but also what it feels like to be a
Hmm.
number by somebody
Yeah.
who's good at their job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we sometimes think it's mutually exclusive, but I think there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who are good at their job and who treat people
Yeah.
like numbers,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you feel the difference. And I think that um, this is unrelated related. We're buying a place in New York City, and the real estate
Hmm.
agent we're working with, I mean, the real estate agents were like hounds on us, but
I
it's
bet.
the woman who rented us our place 6 years ago. And for
Yep.
6 years has stayed in touch with us. She gave us a gift
Hmm.
certificate to the restaurant down the street.
Aw.
She like we see her out. We thought we were gonna move twice and basically changed our mind. And she gave
Yeah.
us free time. She's given us free advice.
Hmm.
She is over 6 years, not made a cent more than from that time. And so when we were looking for somebody, there are other people who are good at their job, but we
Hmm.
felt like like it literally felt like vultures versus here's this
Yeah.
person who's just poured into a
Yep.
relationship, touch base with
Hmm.
us. She's
Yep.
floated so far away, but never been pushy. Well,
Hmm.
she's gonna make a substantial amount of money now, and
Yeah.
it's because of all the things you're speaking to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's relationships, right? That is, and this is, look, this isn't fancy, but it's timeless. And it's, we think about how can we let our people, see that we care about them. And, remember when we're building a business, and you had said this earlier, it's not like we need 1,000 clients. Like you could have 40 for a year, depending on what your offer is, and make $1 million.
You
I
can
mean,
have 20 for a year and make
yeah,
$1 million. I mean,
yeah,
depending on your
yeah,
offer, like, I mean, not to like negate what you're saying, but just for like,
yeah.
it really doesn't, depending on your retention and your prices and kind of how
Hmm.
things go.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you have 5 or 10 more minutes? I want to be so
I
mindful of your
do.
time.
You are,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Fridays
Okay.
are
Good. Same,
actually
same,
open wide for me. I
same.
love Fridays are
Okay.
just so laid back. Yeah.
Same, and I'm just loving this conversation, but and there's just so many questions. I do feel like because I think in theory, when we're heart-centered,
Hmm.
service-driven, taking, I call it social currency, but your leverage
Yeah.
strategic relationship building, I think that is
Yeah.
something it feels good. We're all on board with that.
Yeah.
And then I think there's both the online pressure, the
Hmm.
go viral, the like do everything now. But I think sometimes we can also hit that place of like, that's great, but that's something I do when I already have clients and make money
Yeah.
because it takes a long time or it's, we're talking like it's going to take forever. And I think we
Mhm.
can get into a little bit of this like, okay, but what do I do right now if I need to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
money? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
maybe as a closing thought, not to, it's a big
Hmm.
question, but just as a closing thought, I'm curious what comes up
Hmm.
for you around that.
Yeah. Around, is the question around how would I get a client today
It
or
doesn't even have
next
to be how
week
would I get a
or,
client today, but even maybe just that mentality, because maybe there isn't an answer to that, but just that mentality of like, I'll do push off relationship building. Like I need to do something to
oh,
like, I feel like that will work later. Like, what's the
oh, yeah. Yeah.
strategy for
Yeah.
clients now?
Yeah, I would say absolutely you need to start doing it now. Like don't push it
Love
off to
that.
later. Right? Like
Totally.
that
That's what I would
is,
have said.
yeah, that's the deal breaker, right? Like that is, or the deal maker rather,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you are connecting, when you're building, relationships with people, that's what you need to do absolutely now. And again, it doesn't have to be, again, the way that I was taught back in the day was you give away a whole bunch of free 1 hour coaching sessions and you try to sell your thing on that coaching
Hmm.
session.
Hmm.
And it always felt like a bait and switch with me on that. Now I'm not saying that having 1 hour coaching sessions with people is wrong at all. But when they don't know you at the very beginning, if they're a stranger and you're trying to actually build rapport and take them through what I like to call the ladder of beliefs in 1 hour, it doesn't happen well and that way. Why? Because people have processing times. They're
Hmm.
not,
Hmm.
they don't know you enough
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm.
So giving yourself that opportunity to really connect with people, even if it's just to say, hi, how are you? Maybe somebody made a comment on your post or somebody shared a note or somebody, gave you a thumbs up. Like those are places that you can start right now to just say, hey, thank you so much for commenting on my post. Thank you so much for sharing the note. Thank you so much for being a part of my community. I'm so glad you're here. Is there anything that you need? I've got, I've got a resource vault. I'm like, tell me where you are. Like, let me grab something for you and I'll send it your way, to help them create a win. And I think that is not talked about enough. Instead, what is being taught is go ahead and just make 100 cold calls a day and try to sell your thing. And I'm like,
Hmm.
just a hell
Hmm.
no for
Hmm.
that. First
Yeah.
of all, I don't want to do a cold call like that and try to sell a thing to anybody. I would much rather, again, have a conversation with somebody who is new to just say, hi, how are you? I'm here. I'm cheering you on. Let me know if there's anything that you need. And I'm happy to sort of share a resource with you.
I think if we're selling something like lip gloss, I have some lip
Yeah.
gloss on the table, right? Like
I know,
maybe
right?
cold calling will work, but most of us are selling
Services. Yes,
services that I think do require a different level of trust and relationship. And I'm not
absolutely.
hating. I will do a warmed up in the past when I was building my business, a warmed up cold up, which I think you're talking about, which is
Yeah.
more somebody's in my world already. We already have a
Yes,
connection. I'll personally reach out to them. I think,
absolutely.
and that's a very just for everybody listening. I
That's
think
different,
that's
right?
a very, very different thing than just let me
Yeah.
spray and pay 100 people.
Yes.
And
I
even the
sorry.
call, no, no, I was just gonna say, even
I'm
with the
like,
free calls, well, we've offered I grew my business off free calls. And to this day, we
Yeah.
offer like one a month for people on my podcast. But I
Yeah.
think to what you're saying, the strategy was always, I always thought of it as clients now, clients later. If somebody
Yes.
was already in my world and warm, that was a great way to build trust.
Exactly.
If they were cold, it was a great way to warm up the relationship, not
Yep.
sell, right? But then 3 months later,
Yep.
right, like they've consumed my content and they've now had that relationship. And so
Yep.
I think and I know you had something you wanted to say, but just to kind of put a pin
Yeah.
on what you were
Yeah.
saying, because when I asked you that question, I would have said the same thing. The best time to
Mhm.
start relationships is now. We
Yeah.
think the shortcut is go viral. I'm not hating on going viral, but not
Yep.
only is that a little bit of Russian roulette, but if you think about how many viral reels somebody would have to see to get the same amount of connection
Yep.
that they get from a conversation with you, you giving a
Yep.
resource, you connecting with
Yep.
them,
Yep.
I think it's actually a longer strategy. It's a
It
good
is.
strategy for when you don't that's a good strategy for me now when I'm fully booked. But if you're trying to book clients, the best strategy is
Mhm.
start the relationship now.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I just went on a little rant
No,
myself.
that was perfect. That was exactly it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I wanted to, double down on with you, and because we're on the same page,
Yep.
is having a conversation. Conversations are what create clients. So I'm not saying that
Gotcha.
don't do free conversations. Conversations is what create clients. A viral post gets attention, but conversations is what is going to create
Yep.
clients.
Yep. Yep.
It's just that it's the order in which those conversations happen
Yep.
is what
Yep.
is where I think a lot of people are confused. They try to start, or give away a coaching session to a stranger before that stranger has been connected with, has been nurtured, has
Yep.
been given
Yep.
value. So in my system, we talk about attract, we talk about nurture, we talk about connect, and then we talk about inviting them into a
Yep.
conversation, which is the fourth step, not the first step. And
It's
so
that.
that's
Yep.
that's very different.
No, I really appreciate you saying that. It makes me think about the dating order, right? Like just in
Yeah.
terms of like kind of how if we think about any like
Can I have a cup of
yeah, like we
coffee
have to have the
first?
right order. And you don't want it to feel like a bait and switch, I think is kind of the
Yes.
term you were saying
Yeah.
earlier. Like I think that's the part that makes all of it
Yeah.
feel muddy. Um,
Yeah.
you have a great program, you have a great system. I think you have a masterclass coming up.
Yeah.
And I think you support people in such like a, I'm just so in like yes, yes, yes to everything you're saying. So can you tell everybody where they can learn
Yeah.
more, like what you've got going on?
Absolutely. My camera on my computer keeps shutting down for some reason, or
Oh,
like you guys go
mine does
away
that
and I'm
too.
like,
It's like
wait, come
it's
back.
a Substack thing. I don't it does it like after a couple of minutes.
It's so funny. So yeah, absolutely. So it's called Build a Real Profitable Boutique Business, because that's really what I specialize in, is building a boutique business that's high profit, lean team, and really helping people, create between whether they're getting to their first six figures or they want to create that, 100K to 500K mark. And these principles are timeless. They'll work if you want to get to $1 million too. But really I'm teaching the Soulful Abundance System, which is, over the course of 5 days next week. And we'll, take you through all of them so that you have a really clear understanding of, not only the inner game, our mindset and the identity that we want to, take on in being, heart-centered entrepreneurs and allowing us to build an amazing business and also do really good work in the world. But we're also going to talk about, what could an offer suite look like for you? We'll talk about, the attraction and the nurturing. What is that, and what that could look. So I'm going to give you real life examples so that you can walk away with really some practical things that you can start implement. We'll also talk about, what's the difference between a sales call and an audit, or a sales
Mhm.
call or an assessment, so that you don't feel like so that you're not trying to sell on the wrong type of call. Right? Because we don't want to do the bait and switch. We want to be
Yep.
very, very clear for the type of call that, somebody is coming on. And so when we're offering somebody, a 20-minute assessment, which I love to do, they're called boutique business audits. There's no offer to work with me. It is simply in service. It's simply to let me hear where you are, where are you stuck. Let me help you, let me give you a piece of the 1,000-piece puzzle that you can walk away with and create that personal one-on-one connection with me. So we're doing that next week, starting on Monday. Day 5 is actually going to be about how to bring on a paying client in the next 7
Amazing.
days. So we're going to be, focused on that so that you can actually walk away with a brand new paying client just from the information that you're going to learn for free.
I was just gonna say, and this is all for free.
Yeah, it's totally all
I
for free.
mean, anybody is crazy not to sign up for that. So I think the way Substack works is after they can follow
Yeah.
you,
Yep.
subscribe, and that should be all there. And
Mhm.
then we'll make sure afterwards we can drop this in maybe the
Yep.
comments so that
Sounds great.
anybody who's
Mhm.
watching later can join. And can they
Mhm.
join if somebody catches this next week? Can they join kind of
Absolutely,
midweek?
yes.
Great.
Absolutely. And if you can't make it live, don't worry about it. We're going to keep the replays up until the end of August.
Oh, great,
So
great,
it'll
great.
go this, so you will have plenty of time, but if you can make it live, that's really the best because that way I can kind of answer your questions. Plus we're giving away some free templates every single day. So every time you come live, you're going to walk away with some sort of resource that you can implement, but it is for, people that are, are live with us.
Amazing, amazing. So everybody will make sure we have all of those details for you.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not sign up for this? That sounds incredible. Get yourself a new
So
client in
fun.
a week,
Yes.
essentially. Is there anything you want to close with for us? Not to put you on the spot, but just any closing
No,
thoughts? This has been
yeah.
like I'm just like, oh, I could talk to you for 3 hours. It's been such a
I
great
know, right?
conversation.
Yeah, I would like to close with, the one of the things that I think we don't hear enough is that there are multiple ways to build and grow a business, and you
Yes.
get to choose it in a way that is in alignment with you and your values and your integrity. And there are also some timeless principles
Yeah.
that we do need to focus on, right? So there are timeless principles so that we're setting up a correct foundation within our business. There's things that we want to focus on, but even just talking about marketing or client attraction, there are multiple ways that you can do that. And I think sometimes we are bombarded with a lot of noise that there's only one right way, or this is the one right way that's working now and nothing else is going to work. And we have to remember that there actually anything that you are aligned with will work. And if it's not working right now, chances are you're missing something along the pathway, of either connecting with people or building a relationship, or you're not really, clear. So there are pieces that we can kind of, fit in for you so that you know which one of those timeless practices, not tactics, right?
Yes.
Not dancing on TikTok, not, choosing the latest, greatest tactics today, but really, understanding those timeless principles. And it can happen in multiple ways.
I love that. And then when people know that, then if they want to use a tactic, the tactic can actually work for them. And I
Absolutely.
think that's
Yeah.
like the icing on
Yeah.
the cake. I
Yeah.
co-sign that 100%. I think that's just such a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
your work is beautiful. You're beautiful. I just
Oh,
appreciate you, your brain, all the things. Thank you for
thank
sharing
you.
so generously with us. This has been
Oh, my
such
pleasure.
a
My
lovely
honor.
conversation. And everybody who's here, I appreciate you all for hanging out with us on your Friday. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here on the replay, and leave us questions on the replay as well. We'll make sure we come back and answer those.
Absolutely. Come say hello. You'll get me. I promise. I don't do bots.
I same, same. With all the love in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danielle. We got some thank you both. This was great. Thank you all. We
Mhm.
love you all. Thank you. Happy Friday. Bye.
Bye.